Hey guys, welcome to an episode on the YouTube channel of CdLS Dads. I'm Ken. If you are just seeing me now, you're going to want to go to the playlist. I don't have my pointer up here, so let's just do this. Every time I load an episode, it adds on to the end of the playlist. So there's an introduction episode, and then we've talked about stuff you're likely to encounter in public education, medical things, just navigating a lot of things. And I have 20 years of experience as the father of Tammy, who had Cornelia de Lange syndrome, or CdLS, and she passed away at age 18 and a half. So I have like a full life story. On top of that, I worked for a governmental agency for a quarter of a century, so I know about navigating governmental things, bureaucracies, and I also have a decade in of being on a school board in a small local district where you're some districts and some governmental agencies are such that there's layers and buffers of people. In my world, I tend to be pretty available pretty quick, so there's nobody there to cool everybody down and all that. So I'm kind of known to be a responsive individual, whether I'm at work or in my service as a school board, when it comes to engaging in being a parent the best I know how. The second Sunday of every December, the Children's Hospital staff has a candlelight ceremony where families come in of children who have passed away either at Children's Hospital or while they had received care from Children's Hospital. So there's people there that are grief counselors, psychologists, psychiatrists, and people that are religious types, cleric, whatever you want to say. There's a bunch of people there that are there to help people deal with the difficulties that come with losing a child. There were a lot of families there, and there were so many pictures on the table, and my understanding is most of the people that are there have lost a child in the last year. Now, what you're seeing here is what I took in. I took a picture of Tam. They wanted a picture, and this picture, she's holding this mandolin, the same mandolin that's right here. It's a 1915 Gibson mandolin, and it was in the shop up at Malibu, and she would spend quite a bit of time up there, and she'd seen it. She was at home the day I brought it home, and I handed it to her, and she immediately knew that it had come from Fred. And you'll see Fred on some of these episodes from the Center for Disease Control about smoking as a tracheotomy. I think I'll give you a link to one of those up there. But this mandolin was in really rough shape, and she was really happy. You can see that it doesn't have any tuners or whatever. But this kind of represented her at a happy moment. Her backpack is there. She'd come out of school that day, and this thing was rough, and I think you've seen, I don't play, but let's see if Tam can help me. That's about the best you're going to get out of me. Again, 1915 Gibson mandolin. There we go. So we put it up there on the table along with a poinsettia decoration that was made at one of the schools over there where I sit on the school board by tracing kids' hands. It was kind of funny. It kind of jumped off the wall by itself. It was up there in a wreath made out of 8 or 10 of those, and there was a moment that the school board meeting was getting a little contentious, and that dived off the wall by itself. And I think the video of the meeting will say, we'll hear me saying, Tam's here, so we all better behave. But this is a really nice thing. Children's Hospital, thank you, and thank you for the people that shared. And there was just a room full of people there that families go on, and there's people that aren't getting over what they're feeling or don't know what to feel, but there's the responsibility of being a parent, and I saw all of that. So let's talk about CdLS and spirituality. Now I need to do a huge disclaimer. First, if you are taking salvation dependent advice from me, you probably got a problem. I grew up and I come out of the oil fields and the railroad and cranes and working man's world. So I am not a clergy person, and I am not going to dive into some of this polarized stuff that we're hearing from everybody. Don't care what you are. This is going to be such that if you are even an atheist, if that's what your thing is, good for you. I really didn't say that, but I did. Okay, so I'm trying to be really politically correct here. There's some deep, deep stuff inside of me related to Tam's death, and I just kind of want to talk about what I think, and I think there's going to be something in this for everybody. It may wake you up to send me a message that says, oh, that is the worst thing. They're building a fire for you downstairs, or hey, thanks, that helped me out, and it made me look at things. But, so, I'm not here to convert you. I don't have a 501c3, but I do have some good experience just by the way my life went when I was young. I was born into a family that was a sect of Lutheranism. Is that what you call it? Because they were from Norway, predominantly one area of Norway. I think there's different types or sects, S-E-C-T-S, of churches over there. And then the family split up. There was a marriage. I became a Catholic altar boy. There's some Mormonism mixed in here. So let's just say I have a good look at a lot of different ways that people express the structure of Christianity. And that's not what this is about. Whatever you do is what you do. But I think you're going to learn pretty quickly here that my discussion is going to go pretty quickly to the value of the individual. Let's start off with something really controversial. I really don't care what religion is being practiced. I think that when kids, especially nowadays, get drugged to church and everything is be quiet, don't fidget, we've got neurodivergency running off the edge of the cliff everywhere we look. Sometimes there's so much stuff going on that doesn't appear to be good that people are actually questioning why we should go to church at all. But let's look at this. Think about you're a kid and your experience is you have to get up on Sunday morning, maybe it's Saturday morning, whatever it is, maybe you're going to youth group on Wednesday. But you have to get up, you have to get ready, you have to put your best clothes on, you have to behave, you sit there, you look forward, and you pay attention. And why are you there? Well, you're there because your parents are there, and we're good, God-fearing Christian people, or whatever we are, and you just need to be there. So I had to ask myself, even when I was young, why am I here? What is helping me other than I'm learning that I have to not move, I can't do anything, I can't look back at my friend, I can't make jokes, I have to look good, I have to be good. There's really nothing attractive about this experience for me. So let's cut to the chase on what I'm trying to tell you. Kids develop an understanding of the value of spirituality. That can mean anything. Whether I do good things, whether I do bad things, whether I think things out, whether I'm compassionate to others, you can call it Christ-like behavior, that I consider sins of omission as well as commission. So I don't make these decisions of I could help that person, but I'm not going to. I think those are the ones that get you in the end. I'll let you know if there's a way for me to call you because I'm way older than most of you. But anyway, here's what I tell people. if your kids do not, I like the word testimony. That means that something has happened to me. I've felt something, I believed something, I did something, I didn't do something, and something happened where I could feel like, you know what? I feel good, I don't feel bad. So, if you can encourage your kids to look for the experiences that are basically a spiritual, we can call it influence, we can call it whatever you believe is speaking to you, the Holy Ghost, the Holy Spirit, your conscience, or whatever. If you can get those kids to identify those moments that are unique to them, not whoever's sitting in the row, no comparison, it's just like, hey, I did this happened, I felt great about it, I felt confirmed. If you can get kids to look for that and be able to, with some amount of humility, be able to tell people that when it's important, especially when it comes time for them to be empathetic about somebody that's going through a terrible problem, the earlier that they can understand that their testimony is built on their individuality in what we're going to call the spirit world, that they are unique and that they are able to feel these things, and these things are indicators to them that they're on the right path. They're a confirmation. We're not just playing some crapshoot and feeling like, oh, I got to guilt myself through my whole life, and at the end, maybe I'll only have to be in that one place for 1,000 years before I get to go to the next spot up, and I basically earn my way in, or whatever. I'm getting way out in the weeds here now. In other words, tell your kids that they're important to whoever's up there, whatever you believe in, to look for it, because they are going to get signs that they are individually important. You CdLS parents, I think, are going to understand where this is going, because when you take someone like Tam, who is only supposed to have the capacity of a 4 to 7 month old in adulthood, who was never supposed to be able to write her name, communicate, speak, and you look at, just type in, go to AI and type in, who is TAMIPFALZGRAF. One more time. Who is Tammy, TAMI, Fallsgraf, PFALZGRAF. And it is going to blow up. It's going to tell you people know we're here, they know we're there. You're going to get a summary of what her school career was like. There's people asking for a progression of what her signatures look like on the back of the guitar over time. She has an identity all over the place. And so I'm not going to ruin the ending here, but if you think that your child is not individually important to God, oh, I said it. I don't know what's going to happen to me now. If you think that your child has been abandoned by God, or doesn't have some purpose, or isn't worth individuality, you're very wrong. She is the example of it. It saddens me very deeply that the awareness of her came after she passed away, but it is what it is. Again, who is Tammy Fallsgraf? That AI thing, it doesn't have anything bad to say about her. So try that out. But I want to talk to you now about individuality. Okay, individuality is a concept. I swear, kids nowadays, it's like what we do, what seems to happen is everybody's polarizing themselves. Those people over there, that group here, them over there, this other group, they are manipulating this and they're doing this and or that, or they're not doing this, and because these people are doing this, and it's all this like groups of people. And sometimes I wonder, the grouping of people, the villainizing of people, and painting some people out to be less than or victims of this something or other energy out there, we're starting to miss references to the individual or a prompting to you that says, hey, this is what I can do, this is what I shouldn't do, but individually as a person, this is where I can help. This is where my value is. There seems to be this idea that if you were to say, hey, you know what, I can do this well, I did good on the test, I volunteer at the hospital. If you say any of that, oh boy, you're a braggart, and that's just not politically correct in a world where everybody gets a trophy at the soccer game. Nothing wrong with that. Kids shouldn't be driven to be professional athletes with no knees, everything's blown out and they're tore up by the time they're 8 years old. I'm not saying that, but there is something about individuality. So let me help you with this concept if you don't really realize how important it is. And this always points to somebody up here that put this together or whatever you want to believe, but check this out. If I were to say to you right now, in your world, whether it's in your room, whether you're outside, listening to this, driving down the road, I want you to look around you for a second. And just look at everything. And think of the depth of what's really happening. That tree over there, 2 leaves just blew off. There's 1 minute, there's this, the cars around you, the people in them, the age they are, the speeds they're going, where the clouds are, how they're moving, at the microbiology level, in the greater picture of things. Try to think about that for a minute. And if I were to say, if I say now, that would mean I want you to kind of think about and capture what's happening right now. Okay? And I'm going to say the word now a few times. So let's do now. And now. And now. Tell me, when you're looking at each of those individual moments, it's like a millisecond snapshot of the universe, is anything besides everything completely different in those moments? Are those moments individual of each other? Because when I say now, everything that's happening, and then I say now, everything is different. I've aged. I swear, if you think about this concept, you'll realize that each individual moment in time in the universe is its own moment. Never will there be another moment where exactly the same thing, the arrangements of things, the business of nature, any of that will ever be the same. Now, if you've ever taken a look at Far Eastern philosophy, they have this thing called the I Ching. They gather tea leaves, they crush them, they drop them. And the idea is reading the tea leaves will give you some snapshot at the moment that the leaves were crushed. I think the key word here is differentiation. And I'm challenging you to realize that no moment in time has ever been duplicated, ever and never will be. So part of all the reason for that is some of the things that we do as humans, some of the advancements we make, the cars, whatever, or space travel, whatever you want to call it, is responsible for us to be able to individualize moments in time. So does it make any sense that we as human beings, the most opposable finger and thumb, ability to reason, you may question this, you might be questioning this about me right now, but can you fathom that we are not individuals? And if all of this is real, is it possible to think that we're not just left to be whatever we are like the rest of the animals, and if for some reason it matters if we're decent people? I wish I could use oil field language on here. It would be much easier. I want to talk about spiritual advancement. So I find it interesting, the old law, call that what you want, where you had these certain people, they had the robe, they had the hat, and they would tell you when you went to them and you said, hey, I did this last Thursday, and I think that my ex-wife, they didn't have that back then, cousin's brother-in-law's girlfriend may have been spiritually damaged. And the person said, did you say Thursday? Yeah. Well, no, don't worry about it. I'm going to do some work for you. You give me a little bit here, and I'll go talk to the right people, because you did that on Tuesday. So we had all these rules, and you had these people that would help you navigate the rules, and in the end, you're pretty good. And then there was this idea that maybe someone would come along and take care of all of the sins that I would ever commit. Nobody else sins. I get that. It's just me. But again, I'm an individual. There's bad parts about being an individual. I can't just dump whatever I do into the group, sin group one. I am so out there and sacrilegious and blasphemous, whatever. You can blame all that on me. But think about this. It gets to a certain point where somebody says, hey, you don't need to be running off trying to justify and spend all this time. Just do the right thing. Be responsible for yourself. And here comes this guy, whether you believe him or not, and gives us an atonement. Christ died for our sins. I want you to think about that. Let's say I got a sin, yeah, imagine that, me, that I have a problem with, and there's different sins. There's little sins, there's bigger sins, I got quite the array. And then I think there's one that we forget about, I mentioned it earlier, sins of omission. So if you want to just talk about Jesus Christ and Christ-like behavior, I think when Christ looked at somebody who was suffering, he didn't go, okay, how much money do you make? What are my friends, the apostles, going to think about this if I help you? Because I heard some rumors about they don't like you. This is going to hurt my social status if I'm found to be associated with the ilks of Ken, right? So, again, I think sins of omission is what's going to get us those times that we had the ability to help someone, whether it was with something earthly, financially, with resources, or just the moment where you went up and you said, hey, I like this about you. Give them something positive, because you don't know the burdens they're bearing. But anyway, so this idea of atonement, Christ died for my sins. So I think I got this pretty figured out. I'm a pretty good guy most of the time. And the stuff I do isn't really that serious, right? I'm not like murderers, party of four. I'm like that group. No. It just depends on what murder means. If you're killing somebody, yeah, that's one thing. If you're murdering their character, I don't know what all these things mean. They can be differentiated. But do you think that it's like, hey, Jesus, I know you hung on the cross. Just hang there a little bit longer for the same thing I keep doing over and over and over and over again, and make a mockery out of your atonement for my sin. You go worry about them other people, because I'm good enough on my own. You don't need to worry about me. I'll be great until the lights start to go out and you watch your kid die right in front of your eyes, and you wonder, is there something more? Where'd that come from? Oh boy. If you've lived it, you know. All of us have dealt with someone. And it's the ones that were the most innocent, and the ones that were the best people, the quiet, the soft-spoken one, the one that always showed up when you needed somebody. They weren't the kind of people that just keeps doing what they're doing and making a mockery out of the atonement, and then hope that you get the last altar call and time it right and go, yeah, put it all in Jesus' hands. That was pretty harsh. There's some things that hit us as parents of kids with challenges. Might be cognitive challenges, might be physical challenges. And sometimes we might think, all that talk about the value of a soul and the individual, and there's never going to be somebody exactly like you that's capable of doing the exact type of thing you can do when it's your time to be here. If that's true, Ken, why is my child suffering like they are? Well, I can't answer that question, but I will tell you something. If you can step back from all of the rough part of this, the part that she never said daddy, the part where I would go to Children's Hospital and get in the elevator for some stuff that seemed pretty routine for her, wasn't routine for others, and see other kids and feel such deep sorrow and realize that regardless of the challenges Tam had, these other kids had far, far worse challenges. And so what does this mean? How does this all sort out? Well, I'll tell you what I think. I don't think Tam was capable of sinning. She couldn't talk, but I never saw her lashing out at people. I never saw her try to get an advantage over someone else. I never heard her say or do things that would besmirch someone else's character. She was one of the happiest people I ever knew. All the challenges she had, I can count on my hand the number of times that she was just very, very upset. You've seen people on this channel talk about her and say she was always happy. She brightened the room. So, did I have to teach her about developing her own testimony? No, she had one that she came with, and it was her veil to the other side of the world where we can't see, where the people who are going to be here in the future are, and the people that have been here in the past are now. That veil was very thin for her. I'm going to tell you a story now. I don't tell it very often, but we went to the funeral of a gentleman that I knew, and my Tammy's older sister was friends with this girl in kindergarten and the like, and this gentleman was named, anyway, he was the father of one of Kendra's best friends, and he died suddenly, way too young. And so we went into this church, and it had a roof almost like a mission roof, but it was all white. All the beams, everything was white. And Tam was very young, and she was looking at the statue of St. Francis of Assisi. She thought that was pretty interesting, but she kept looking up the ceiling in this one spot. But the ceiling was exactly the opposite of what I'm saying about everything being unique. It was just white and everything was the same. There was no differentiation. So I come to the end of the service, and there was the time for everyone to get in line and go up and see the family. Well, Tam had never seen this gentleman. And there was a picture of the whole family, and she had seen the friend that would come over. And she wasn't very old when this was happening. I don't think Kendra was in junior high yet. But they had this family photo, and she looked at the photo, and it was big, but she pointed at the photo and then turned around and was looking at the spot on the ceiling. That rocked me to the core. And then it was within 2 years, the mother and two of the kids were walking down the street, including Kendra's friend, and somebody hit them at night. And that family was devastated out of nowhere. But I'll never forget that Tam, who couldn't tell me anything, was paying attention to that and basically pointing and looking. The message to me was, the guy is here, okay? So what happens when we lose people? Where do they go? I don't like this grouping idea. It'd probably be pretty handy for me, given who I am and the stuff I've done, where if I could get grouped into a group of people and feel like, okay, yeah, we're all kind of the same, we'll just take our punishment together. And it's like I said, blasphemers, party of 8, come this way. We're individuals, I think. And I think that's what it's going to be like for us up there. And I think some of the simplest people, I think some of the people with the biggest challenges, the ones that we might reject, we might feel sorry for, we might discount their value as an individual, we might not see them as, as important as ourselves or other people. I think a lot of the people I saw in the pictures tonight at this, there were pictures of babies. There were pictures of teenagers, infants, twins. You could tell some of them had severe medical issues. Yeah, I don't think they're going to be at the table with some of the rest of us. And in fact, I knew once the shock wore off, the first couple mornings I'd run in Tammy's room and make sure I wasn't having a bad dream. I wish I had. But she wasn't here. She wasn't in here. I started looking at her and how she was, and I started comparing myself to her. And I did an episode about death of a child, looking back after a year. It's up there, and I kind of covered what I thought about, once, where I'd wasted my time, some of the things I thought were important fights for me on the earth. I'm still fighting some of them. We can second guess ourselves all day, but it didn't take me long to figure out that Tam's in good shape wherever she's at. It's not her lot to continue to be that person. What her lot was, I think, I always told people I knew she was a spiritual filter. I knew that if you were kind to her, I knew that if you made her smile, I knew that if her simplicity and her music, she's got guitars literally that she signed all over the world. Like I said, check out that Who is Tammy Fallsgraf thing. She had a huge, huge impact on this earth. So I think up there, I think she's in pretty good shape. I think she can go around wherever she wants. She shows up around here. We see it. It's funny. She was kind of punky. But it hit me. I wonder if I am going to be good enough when my day goes that I'm going to be able to go up to where Tammy's at instead of having her feel sorry enough for me to come down and see me. Guys, there are I don't know, billion. I haven't had a chance to count them. I don't have a good abacus of how many people have been on this earth and are on this earth now and will be on this earth. But if you think that each one of them is not valuable, yeah, I think I've given you enough off-the-cuff science where you have to at least consider what I'm saying. And guys, maybe realize it's okay to sit and ask yourself, how am I doing? And start to look for those moments that you've had where you've been a light for somebody. I brought this home. This is the one I lit for Tam tonight. What have you done that's kind of helped somebody along? Instead of feeling proud, be thankful that you had the resources, that you had the frame of mind, you had the testimony, and that you've been differentiated enough to see where you can make a difference, what you can do today, not just sit back and talk about groups of people and get in these societal wars and grouping and all that work. The value of an individual put together as a group for a good cause gets diminished. Okay, I think that's it. I am so glad that there were some simple moments in life. You know, I make junk. I fix guitars that are junk. I put license plates on them and stuff for parts that are missing. And this old 1915 Gibson guitar, it was missing the cover plate that said Gibson, and the parts under here are rusty. They still work. I mean, what changed from the time you heard that tone to the time? It's still going. It'll go on forever if you can hear it. Anyway, I found an old can from a Manny, Mo, and Jack auto parts store. They've been in California forever. They call it Pep Boys now, if they're still around. But there was a can of axle grease that somebody had thrown up and thrown some nails in it once it was empty of its axle grease. And the brand was Good as Gold, so I saw that, cut this out, and made this little cover that slips over there. I think Tam was as good as gold, is what I think. Hey guys, give yourself a moment and be thankful that you have the ability to be here right now and that you have the ability to comfort someone. And when you feel the sorrow, the happiness, whatever comes with that, let it help you to understand that you're alive and there's somebody somewhere that's got a lot of power. Just depending on, instead of their lightning bolts to fix things and teaching people the hard way by having people be afraid, that you're kind of the messenger and your testimony is making somebody's life matter. That's how it's supposed to work. So next time I won't talk about something so spiritual. I hope having this conversation with you gets me a bunch of brownie points up there. Hey Tam, give me a sign if you can. Thanks guys. I'll talk to you next time. Love you, Tam.